Hi there, it's Nicole from Mama Elephant, and today I have a card showcasing the new Rowdy Raccoons stamps and coordinating dies. And I'm also using the new Park Avenue scallop frame die. I have stamped and die cut my raccoons, and they're all kind of hanging out along the bottom edge of the frame. I've also stamped and embossed a greeting and used a little distress ink and stenciling for the background. I'm going to start by stamping my images from the Rowdy Raccoons stamp set. I'm using the little raccoon on a bike, the one on the stick horse, the image that isn't holding on to anything or really doing anything, just the raccoon, and then the little partial image of the raccoon with the flag. For some of the larger images, I'm going to actually end up not coloring the entire thing because they're going to be partially hidden below that bottom edge of the frame, so there's really no need to go ahead and color the whole thing in. I am stamping the images on some smooth white cardstock from Nina using Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I'm going to move everything out of the way and start coloring in my raccoons. I did start with this raccoon here. All of the raccoons are going to be colored with the same colors of markers. The only things that are going to actually be different are the little flag that the raccoon is holding, or the stick horse and cowboy hat, or the bicycle. So everything else is going to be basically the same. This first raccoon was kind of my quote-unquote guinea pig, where I worked out what colors I wanted to use and kind of figured out how to color in my image. I am using a combination of warm gray and then earth or brown tones of markers, and just trying to figure out which combination works the best. I'm using the warm grays for his little mask there, and then I need to darken up his head as well. But I'm going to simply color all 4 of these adorable little raccoon images in exactly the same. One of the things about coloring in these images with dark colors of markers or any type of coloring medium is that their eyes kind of get lost. And to fix that, when I am completely done and have already colored and die cut these images, I will take a black glaze pen and add detail to the eyes. It's really going to make them pop out. The brown undertones with the warm grays, I think, give a really nice color combination. It's not something I've actually done before. I just kind of worked with these colors here to see if I liked them together, and I thought it really kind of worked out and turned out well. I did color in this the whole thing on this raccoon. I got to coloring and kind of forgot that I probably didn't need to color him all in, although there's probably more of him showing than the 2 larger images. So I'll go ahead, and I felt like his little mask needed darkened up a little bit, so I went in with a little bit darker colors and blended those out. I'm going to start coloring in my other raccoon here with the little flag. There are all my raccoons colored in. The flag I'm doing in shades of aqua. Then I'm going to color in the rope with some of the earth tones or browns that I already have out on my desk. I'm not really going to grab anything new here. The cowboy hat, I'm going to use some of the lighter brown earth tone colors to make it kind of light. I'll do the same thing for the horse, and then I'm using some peachy pinks for the bandana and the band on the cowboy hat. I tried to keep the addition of more colors to a minimum. I really wanted to keep the highlighted colors there, the little peachy pink and the aqua, the only big bursts of color I think on the whole thing. The rest of it is pretty much in shades of brown. Once all 4 of these images are colored in, I am going to go ahead and die cut these with the coordinating Rowdy Raccoons dies. I did end up having to go in and color just a tiny bit more on a couple of the images. When I did this, I wasn't exactly sure where that color was going to cut off, how much of the image was going to be tucked underneath the frame. So I did have to go back in, and I left my markers on my desk just for that reason. Go ahead and pop all of these out. I like to tape them in place with a little post-it tape so that the dies don't shift while I'm running them through the die cutting machine. Before I get to die cutting my frame, I did take the die itself, and I'm just going to kind of lay all of my images along that bottom edge, make sure that it's all going to work out the way I think it's going to. I always like to kind of start by laying out my stamps and dies and seeing if I like that general idea. But when I get to this point, I like to make sure it's going to work before I proceed any further. I did take that Park Avenue frame die, and I'm going to die cut that 4 times. You could also use fun foam underneath the one layer if you wanted to, if you didn't want to stack these one on top of another. That was just kind of the easiest thing I thought to do here today. It's going to make the frame much more substantial than just a single layer. I'm using a nice strong adhesive to adhere these one on top of another. Make sure they're lined up perfectly. And I'll finish here with my 4th frame. And that's going to give a nice, subtle, dimensional frame. I've cut another piece of cardstock to place behind my frame, and I'm simply going to apply some cracked pistachio distress ink to this cardstock. And I'm going to work kind of hard. I got some, you can see some foam marks in my background here. So I'm trying to use kind of a light hand and then gradually darkening it and blending that out. I have found that the distress inks kind of, as they dry, smooth out a little bit better than what they appear when you first apply them. Once I have my background nice and inked up, I wanted to create some subtle tone-on-tone interest, and I'm going to use the Simon Says Stamp Falling Stars stencil. I'll simply position that over there, and then I'm going to pounce on the cracked pistachio distress ink, kind of move it back and forth a little bit so the ink gets into that stencil design. And once I have that the way I want it to look, I'm going to go ahead and lift that up, and I've got a great stars design. You want to make sure that the distress ink background is completely dry before you do this step. I did use a powder tool, and then I stamped a couple of the greetings from the Rowdy Raccoons stamp set on my background, and I'm sprinkling on some white embossing powder. If you need to make sure that's paper or the background is completely dry before you stamp and emboss, go ahead and hit it with a heat tool first. I'm going to take a little bit of the Ranger Multi-Matte Medium, and I'm going to just add some little dots of that. I guess I'm going to do the glossy accents first, excuse me. And I took that and added it to the noses on all 4 raccoons. And then I'm taking that black glaze pen like I talked about at the beginning of the video and adding detail to the eyes. And then I'm adhering the whole frame to a side fold card base. Now it's just to add some finishing details. I'm going to take the Sakura Stardust glitter pen and color in those areas on the word howdy. It's going to make them kind of sparkly and make that word stand out even better. And then I'm going to take that Ranger Multi-Matte Medium, add some little dabs of glue here and there, and adhere the Pretty Pink Posh Iridescent Star Confetti. Thanks for watching this video showcasing the Mama Elephant Rowdy Raccoons stamps and dies. Here are a couple more videos showcasing Mama Elephant stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.